All right, we need to start today with an apology. I need to apologize. I have felt your criticism. I need to be better. I need to do better. I need to know the surrounding areas where I have spent the last 20 years better. It's on me. It's not on Taylor. It's certainly not on Izzy. And it's not on the audience. I don't know why I would point that out, but it's not on anyone but me.
There's a long drive.
Shorter. Yesterday, I made a crucial mistake. Perhaps the biggest mistake of my entire career. I called Flamingo Road Flamingo Boulevard. I apologize. I will say, however, that it should be a boulevard.
That's right.
Thank you.
It sounds so much better.
Top 5 roads and streets that should be a boulevard.
Okay.
Oh, this is very exciting. I've never seen you two so excited. Oh, my God.
It's a big mistake when Chris Cody's the one who points it out, by the way.
Yes. And it sat with me the entire day. It did. I got to be honest with you. Before Chris Cody weighed in, I was thinking about it the entire afternoon. So here we go. Number 5. These are roads and streets that should be a boulevard. Number 5. Abbey Boulevard.
Abbey Road. What is it? The Beatles, right? Is that an album?
It's the Beatles. Beatles are overrated. I believe it's an album. The Beatles overrated, the most overrated band in the history of rock and roll. I'll be apologizing for that tomorrow. I don't want to hear from it.
No,
I'm serious. Beatle fans, I do not want to hear from you. Their music is not that good. It's overrated. It's overrated. Number 4, Bourbon Boulevard. You like that?
That's just alliteration.
Yes. It rolls off the tongue.
It does. Number 3, Tobacco Boulevard.
Ooh.
Taylor is outraged. He loves Tobacco Road.
There's a lot more weight to a Tobacco Boulevard than a Tobacco Road. A Tobacco Road seems short. Doesn't seem that sort of eventful.
Right.
A boulevard just has more to it.
Yes.
This is a case where I didn't have a problem with the other ones, but once you start coming for my roads,
right.
I should have spoke up for the other roads.
Izzy, isn't there a bar down here named Tobacco Road? I think there is.
Is there?
Yeah. Yeah, Tobacco Boulevard. Number 2, the Boulevard to the Final Four.
More lights on that than the road to the Final Four. Road to the Final Four, just a few stop signs. Not really scary, not as fun.
Ridiculous. And number 1, the Boulevard less traveled.
That one I don't know about.
I'm sorry, people. I am sorry. I got it wrong. I should be better. I need to be better. I will be better.
If it's upgraded to a boulevard, it would be more regularly traveled, you would imagine.
Yes.
So I don't know if it should be the boulevard. I mean, the boulevard less traveled is like, hey, where do the tourists not go?
Right.
The boulevard less traveled.
Yes.
There you go.
Taylor, you had a poll question for this?
Yep. Would you rather be a drive, a road, a street, an avenue, or a boulevard?
Houston Boulevard. At Stugotz790 on Twitter to vote on the polls. Izzy, Bomani Jones going to join us, by the way, coming up in just a little bit. Mina Kimes on God Bless Football. We're looking forward to having both of them on. The Knicks, what is going on? So I am so distraught because Tom Thibodeau is a guy who took the Knicks to a place they haven't been to in 25 years. They fired him 3 days after the season. You figure they have their replacement. He's ready to go. The Knicks clearly did not have that replacement. So I am so distraught. I have stopped following the story because yesterday I said I want Thibodeau to come back as the Knicks head coach. I would love for that to be the first time an organization has fired a head coach and then rehired the same head coach. So what is the latest here with the New York Knicks?
Well, the Knicks have clearly shown they didn't really have a great plan and why they got rid of Tom Thibodeau after 3 days. You said the last, 25 years? You should just say century.
Right.
Because they haven't been this good this century.
Yes.
And they've been declined by the Minnesota Timberwolves, who they asked for permission to speak to Chris Finch. They were declined by the Houston Rockets. They asked for permission to speak to Ime Udoka. And those are basically not just declines from the organizations, but from the coaches themselves. Because if those coaches really wanted to, they'd be like, "Hey, let me talk to the Knicks," and they'd probably respect that. And then most recently, Jason Kidd.
If you're the Dallas Mavericks and you like Jason Kidd a lot, and the Knicks are asking to speak to a coach that you like a lot, why would they grant him permission?
If I'm the organization and I'm thinking, "Hey, I have a head coach here who might have a wandering eye," I want to be honest. I want him to be honest, and I want to be like, "Hey, if the Knicks are interested, do you want to go?" If they say no, I'm going to shut this down right now. If you say yes, maybe you're not as committed to my franchise as I think you are, so I'm going to allow it. Now, that's me as an owner. I'm not thinking, I don't know if they necessarily want to do that. But all three of those organizations have turned down the Knicks. And so now you're in a situation, Stu, where you've got the organization, like we just said, haven't been this good since last century and are clearly going to have to settle for their next head coach. So they got rid of the guy that got them there, and the top three options that they said their plan was, I'm going to go after guys under contract. Their top three options turned down. So now you're absolutely going to have to settle. Now the fan base is going to have, like, if you want to talk yourself into Johnny Bryant, who was not hired by the Phoenix Suns, he clearly wasn't your first choice because he's available, and you didn't go there. And so now what do? And your fan base is going to have to do a lot of mental gymnastics to try to convince themselves that they've upgraded on a head coach.
It's
because
be
right
hard.
now, your idea of rehiring Tom Thibodeau might be the best option.
So, Izzy, when a team makes a request to speak to another team's head coach, does that team have an inkling that guy that they're requesting to speak to wants to be the Knicks head coach? Otherwise, they would not make the request, right?
I mean, no. I think the Knicks could just be bold and be overly confident that they're the Knicks and somebody would want that job. I think the key
but they have to be confident in teams allowing their coach to talk to the New York Knicks.
Right. So doesn't this just scream of overconfidence?
Yes.
Doesn't this scream of like James Dolan stepping in and not really knowing what he's doing? To me, I think
we'll get our guy. Right.
The only way this is going to be successful, and I look at the Warriors example when they moved on from Mark Jackson. They brought in Steve Kerr, who had like a very detailed plan of how he wanted to run stuff. But even all of that wouldn't have worked if it wasn't for Steph Curry. Not just the type of player he was, but just accepting Steve Kerr and the change in everything, because it was Mark Jackson that put Steph Curry on the map for a couple of years.
Yes.
Jalen Brunson, if they are going to build this team around him, has to have a similar relationship with that coach, has to have the same feelings for that coach and trust in that coach that Steph Curry has for Steve Kerr, and allow them to create an offense around him. Not necessarily a my turn, your turn with Cat, but something that really, really brings out the absolute best in Jalen Brunson, creates an identity that isn't just, hey, Jalen in the clutch, you're going to be our guy, but just a whole offense that really creates problems for defenses even more so than right now.
So now you got me thinking like Jalen Brunson is in some way behind the firing of Tom Thibodeau.
I don't think he's behind the firing.
Which is amazing if Jalen Brunson has that kind of power, because he was an afterthought in Dallas, like he was.
But not in that organization.
Right.
In that organization, I think
He's
already
everything.
we knew, especially because of the connections within the organization.
I'm just saying what an amazing story Jalen Brunson has become.
For sure.
To go from a guy who was a backup in Dallas to a guy who can get a coach fired if he wants.
And this is how you finish that story.
Right.
You bring in a coach that marries well with him and can finish that job around Jalen Brunson.
Yes. It's a mess.
It's terrible. I mean, it's not a mess. I mean,
but they finally had stability. They had a head coach. They made 2 deep playoff runs, if you want to call the second round of the playoffs a year ago a deep playoff run. Then they go back to the Eastern Conference Finals. They're the favorite in the finals. They have home court advantage in the Eastern Conference Finals. You finally have stability within that organization, and then James Dolan happens.
And the most stable part of that, the reason it was able to be brought together, the reason they were able to get through some tough times, is because they have respect for Tom Thibodeau, and Tom's results were there. And then as the results keep getting better, it's not, hey, let's adjust the staff to make a better offense, right? It's not like, hey, let's talk through these issues that the players have with Tom, because it would be kind of crazy to just immediately decide that he's the problem. It's let's just do that. Let's decide that he's the problem and change the entire mood of everything if we don't get exactly who we want. It's silly, and it's not the way to run an organization. It's not the way to sustain that level of success.
If you're Tom Thibodeau and James Dolan calls you today and he says, listen, I apologize. Heat of the moment. Got caught up. Tom, I'd like to rehire you. What would you say if you were Tom Thibodeau?
So first of all, I would record the conversation, so I would know.
I think it's legal in New York, by the way.
Good.
Yes.
And I would put that out after
Right.
I politely decline and say, no, you're paying me anyway. And then when I put out that video, that audio recording, it would basically be my resume, or sorry, my application to any other opening in the
Right.
future. It's like, hey, the owner of the New York Knicks apologized to me and begged for me back. Of course, I declined. That shows you I should be your next coach.
Poll question. That's Stugotz 790. If you're Thibodeau, do you take the job back? Taylor, you would want him back. You're a Knicks fan, right? You would want him back.
second.
Right? You never wanted him to leave.
Never.
What is happening, Izzy?
I was more than fine being the team that makes it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
So I don't know if you found the sound, but Jalen Brunson and Hart, they do a podcast together. Two Knicks players, friends, played at Villanova
Not for
together.
long, maybe.
They had James Dolan on their podcast, and he said Tom Thibodeau isn't going anywhere. This was during this regular season. Crazy.
Oh, we have that sound? I thought I was laying out. I thought we had that
I said no. I no. What I tried to do was say I don't know if we have this sound to give Taylor some time to go get the sound. Sound I asked him to get before the show, but Taylor's got a lot going on. We're going to change this thing to Stugotz and Company at some point, but as I pointed out earlier, this was not the right week to do it because I need more company.
But this was a good week to show how, or maybe a week span, to show how men in power can be pretty emotional.
Yeah.
Right? It's probably a big spat at the very top of American culture right now. And that's what James Dolan feels like he's doing all the time. He just got emotional. He just got caught up in the moment and decided to blame Thibodeau and not really work this thing through. It's probably the biggest test for whether or not this group can stay together and really succeed is, can they get through this sort of whatever it is, power move, dumb move from Dolan and company. We'll see. It seems like the organization's more stable. It seems like they've been able to get through stuff like this. It just doesn't make any sense with the how hastily they did it. Like it feels like it was in the works the whole time, and it really wasn't, because if you pay attention to how they got there, and even beating the Boston Celtics, like they did that mostly with Jason Tatum in there. They deserved a lot of credit for getting where they got. And yet it just turned into a blame game.
Izzy, you have Game 3 of the NBA Finals tonight. Now, a lot of people are not interested in the NBA Finals. You are interested in any NBA Finals, despite the matchup.
There was that one Spurs-Pistons one I wasn't too excited about.
Really? That's the one that got you?
Yeah.
Can I get your top 5 least excited NBA Finals?
Yeah, by the end of the show, for sure.
Thank you. Really? Because I figured you were always excited for the NBA Finals. You
Not
love
always.
the NBA.
I do love the NBA,
Right.
but there's levels.
Right. Are you excited about this?
This one's fun. It's exciting.
Why is it fun, though? Because most people are bored by it.
Well, I mean, not after Game 1. They're
Right.
bored after Game 2.
Great game, yes.
Because they're projecting that the rest of the series might play out like Game 2, and I'm saying the Pacers have shocked the hell out of us this whole playoff run, so why wouldn't you at least leave yourself open to the idea that they could shock you again? I think the other part of it, and people have been getting on me about this because I did something on Oddball with Amin where I said I think I would take current Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over 2006 Dwayne Wade, and it sounds crazy, right? I'm sorry. One of them was an MVP. The other one wasn't even in the top 5. So It's like, of course, I'm going to take SGA. But I do think part of the fun is basically dissecting whether or not you like SGA. And that's perfectly fair. Like, if you're getting him on the stage solo right now, last year you didn't really get that chance because he only got to the second round. This year you're getting all the way through, seeing, all right, can I embrace this guy? Can I find the same sort of basketball nerd in me, really appreciate him the same way I do Nikola Jokic and have appreciated him over the years? I think that's a huge part of it, but I think also just the fun of the Pacers, man. Like Tyrese Halliburton, whether you think of him as a protagonist or a villain, he's a lot of fun, man.
Right.
He's got two different voices, too.
It seems like Oklahoma City is just, well, I thought this, it's same as the Knicks series. It just seems like they're the better team, clearly. What happened in Game 1, like, the perfect string of events needed to happen for the Pacers to get back into that game and then ultimately win that game in Game 1. Same as Game 1 against the Knicks. And then Oklahoma City blew them out in Game 2. It feels like Oklahoma City is just a better team.
Well, you asked me in the fun game we played yesterday, is he or isn't he? Is real or is not real?
Yes.
Good Gutierrez or bad Gutierrez?
The music, yes. Hit it.
When
Turn it down.
When we played the loud 70s
Right.
porn game, you asked me if Tyrese Halliburton was a superstar, and I said no, and I think this is why. Like, if he was that superstar, you could say, hey, I expect a 30-point triple-double from you tonight, right? You could say that to Nikola Jokic. You could say that to Giannis Antetokounmpo. You could say that to whatever, prime LeBron James. You can't say that to Tyrese yet and actually expect it.
Sure.
And again, it's no knock on him. He's getting to where he is. He's moving on up the totem pole, but he's not at that point yet where I can say I expect you to carry your team and get me a win in the NBA Finals. Shai's been there.
Shai's a boring MVP though. It's like he is. His game is kind of Taylor. Do you agree with this? His game's kind of boring. He's a great player. Don't get me wrong, a great player. But it's 2 points at a time. It's not a ton of threes.
Not dunking on anybody.
He's not dunking on anyone.
He's not giving you the no looks that Jokic is doing.
He's a boring superstar. It's not the NBA does not want him to be its best player.
Who was your last boring MVP that you can think of? There aren't.
Jokic.
I think people probably learned to embrace him. I would say maybe the first one,
right,
is maybe you could have called him boring. And I think more with that was more the way he played. He looked like he was bored, so people assumed it was boring. But the more you zoomed in, it was like, oh no, this guy's amazing. It's fun to watch.
As a Jalen Brunson defender, it feels like a lot of the problems with SGA comes from the foul merchant, that he's getting a ton of points at the free throw line.
Yes.
And the deeper you go in the playoffs, the less and less that seems like it's there. Haven't really seen a whole lot of those plays in these first two games in the finals, and yet he's got the most points of anybody in their first two finals games.
It's the way he goes about getting the points, though.
Well, you say
it's not aesthetically pleasing.
Jalen Brunson in the conference finals, he lapped SGA in terms of foul merchant stuff. When you get the other dude to grab his hand and hit yourself in the face, SGA's got a lot of work to do to catch up to Jalen at this point.
But also, if SGA played for the Knicks, if he played for the Lakers, the NBA would be carrying him around on a throne.
They'd still prefer their superstar to play like LeBron, Kobe, or Michael, I think. And he's not that. He just doesn't. I'm not saying he's not as good or won't be as good as those guys, although I have a hard time believing that he will. But he doesn't play that kind of style.
To be honest, he does do the Michael stuff. It's a lot of 1-2 dribble, pivot, pull up, whatever. A little bit more pivoting than maybe Michael did. Michael was a little bit more efficient with his off the dribble game, but he does more of that than, say, today's superstar. He still has that little low post, mid post game that MJ does. What he doesn't have is that explosiveness, the finishing, the stuff that we loved, that we fell in love with him in the beginning.
Mix in a baseline dunk. Throw it right down on Patrick Ewing.
Yeah,
something like that.
But that's what makes it even more impressive. He's
that he can't do that?
He's a 3-level scorer, but he's not a 3-level scorer in the way that he's finishing over you. And the fact that that's not in his game, and he's still giving you 35 or something, that's
Wait, are you saying, do you think he can't do that, or it's just not part of his game yet?
No, I don't think he has the springs to consistently finish over people.
Yes, and to be the best player in the NBA, the one thing you have to have is springs.
Not Jokic. Jokic has been the best player
That's why
in the
I
NBA
reject Jokic. He has no springs.
Yeah, I don't think that's what you need to be the best player in the NBA. I do think that's what you need to be one of the most exciting players in the NBA. Or you could be Steph Curry and just shoot from anywhere.
Well, that's different, right? Because I don't want to say it's gimmicky, but Steph Curry is aesthetically pleasing. Watching Steph Curry play basketball, you sit there and you're like, wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah, well, Shai is pretty beautiful if you are a basketball guy. It's not just Steph can shoot it from anywhere, right? But Shai can shoot it from his preferred location and get that shot off whenever the hell he wants. That's the skill.
Right.
It's not going to drop your jaw. It's just, wow, that's amazing, impressive, efficient. If you can do that and make it look easy, then you're one of the best.
Right. I have a series of NFL headlines here. I do a thing on Weekend Observations where I just, in May and June. And I've been telling everyone for a while there should be a publication called June, right? And so I'm going to read you some NFL headlines. And the only
what's the publication? So it's a magazine that comes out every June?
No, it's a publication of NFL stories that don't really matter, but you're hearing about them. Why? Because June.
So you just call it June.
You just call it June.
Happy June.
But does it run year long?
It runs really from like March through June.
Well, if shit's ever getting too heavy,
Right.
and you just need a break, you
Yes.
pick up the book or magazine of June and be like, these are the headlines I need for a second. Whew.
All right, you guys ready for some?
Yes, please.
This is the first edition of June. We've never done it like this before. I'm just going to read you headlines and get your guys' thoughts.
All right.
Wide receiver Davante Adams joining Rams. Quote, exactly what I needed.
Wow.
June. Yes.
Wow, no.
You have to wait for the June afterwards.
Sorry,
okay?
sorry,
All right,
sorry.
Okay, yeah. This is exactly what he needed. June.
I mean, that's what his third team that he said that about?
Yeah, the
so
Jets were
true.
exactly what he needed. The Raiders were exactly what he needed.
Yeah. Remember when he showed up right behind Aaron Rodgers on that one Zoom interview?
Yes.
Yeah, that was weird.
I got to tell you, that's a good fit, though. Stafford, Davante Adams. Whew. Oh, God.
Did you see Cooper Kupp has a new look?
Where is he?
Well, that's a great question. I was just
Yes.
talking about his hair.
Do you know where
I have no idea.
he's a Seahawk?
Really? Wow. With Sam Darnold. How about that?
Is that
June.
why he went with the like long hair, grungy look, and he sort of peeled back a little bit off the beard?
Yeah.
He somehow looks more like Jake Paul now.
He does. You're right. I'm going to ask Mina how she feels about being a fan of the organization that takes Jet quarterbacks 6 years after they draft him. This is the second one, right? They went from Geno to Sam Darnold, and now they have Cooper Kupp. New look, Cooper Kupp. New look, Seattle Seahawks.
I think they'll be good for 2/3 of the season and then fail miserably.
Browns rookie quarterback Shador Sanders unfazed by fewer reps. June.
I watched a few of his camp highlights.
Why?
He could sling it.
June.
He could sling it.
Can he?
Yes.
Really? Should have went number one overall?
There was like a graphic that somebody posted out of the Browns starting quarterbacks' stats from the practice, and Shador, very impressive. I think he was like 8 for 10, 3 touchdowns.
So he's cracked the top 5 there in the depth chart?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that is? No.
On Shador Sanders or
Yes.
him or his June headline?
We should wish Deion Sanders, who has been on the show with me and Dan many, many times over the years, we should wish him well. He's going through some health problems right
I
now,
did not know that.
unspecified health problems right now, and so we wish the best to Deion Sanders and the entire family. Let's go back to June here. Bryce Young, trash talking, puts Panthers on notice. June. I mean, Bryce Young went from the worst quarterback in the NFL to now he's trash talking and he's putting everyone on notice. Get the hell out of here, June.
Oh, that was very confusing. I didn't understand what that headline meant. So it was Bryce Young who is trash talking,
Yes.
and putting the rest of the league on notice.
Right now it's just putting the Panthers on notice because they're the only one that can hear the trash talking.
So
the
he's-
rest of the league will hear it though.
He's trash talking his own players, or he's trash talking the rest of the league.
He's just
to his
trash
players?
talking, and I think what the Panther players are saying is, this is the Bryce Young we were expecting. This is cocky, confident Bryce Young. We drew it out of him last year, second half of the season, played very, very well. Carolina is a team that a lot of people are picking to make it to the playoffs this year, like a sneaky good team. And they're saying that it has put them on notice, the Carolina players.
But he's only this player in June.
Well,
Right.
no, it's only a headline in June,
okay.
right?
Okay.
If you put him on notice in September, no one would care, you know?
Right, that wouldn't even make the stack. You're
Right, because you know when you're 0-3, you can't really put anyone on notice.
Did he? When did he start winning? Was it in
But right
December?
now, what are the records right now, Taylor? Everyone is what?
0-0.
June.
I think it was like the Giants game that kind of flipped the switch for him.
It was.
The overseas Giants game.
He played great second half of the season last year.
I'm buying low
Great.
on the Panthers.
Yes, meaningless games, but he played great. I mean,
I only have room for one set of Panthers in my life, so
really.
yeah, that's why I still have this stupid beard.
It's grown
I
out
can't wait to get rid
nicely.
of it. Thank
Right,
you.
yeah.
I mean, it looks okay. I just don't like it. It's just a bunch of pubes on my face.
Right. You're hoping for a game 5?
Game 5.
It'd be over in 5?
Yeah, for sure.
It'd be over in 5.
Hit Club 11 right after.
June, Rodgers joining Tomlin and the Steelers. Quote, best for my soul. June.
I could see that one.
I'm
in
tired
July.
of his soul.
I could. Oh,
Fuck
my
his
goodness.
soul.
Did he get married?
That was my last headline.
Ah, okay. All right. Rewind. Pretend I never said that.
Marriage not good for the soul.
Next headline. Did
Tomlin good for the soul.
we hit the fanfare on that one?
I don't think we have June fanfare yet.
Okay.
But someone asked me yesterday what to expect from Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. We were having a conversation. I forget who it was. Soul. a quote about his soul and how good Tomlin is for his soul. It's like stage 1 of him entering your organization. This is good for my soul right up until it's not good for my soul, and then he starts trashing Tomlin.
Has there ever been another superstar in any sport been this sort of open at this stage in their life about trying to find themselves and be? Normally at this stage, he's like settling in, right?
Do me a favor, find yourself already. How does that sound?
Yeah, seriously. Like,
guy's been searching for 4 years. Go fucking find yourself, Aaron. Jesus
You know
Christ.
when he played better? When he was completely lost and had no idea who he was. Go back to that. Stay off the drugs. Go back to not knowing who the hell you are. Maybe you'll play better football.
Right, before the Achilles, yes.
Yeah, well,
where you
before
weren't
that.
searching for anything. You were just searching for Devontae Adams in the end zone.
Exactly.
Right. That's when he was at his best. Anyway, spoiler alert.
It's Wednesday.
Aaron Rodgers reveals he's married.
Wow.
June.
Man or woman?
I don't know.
Now the shot has gotten wide, and who do we have all the way to my left?
Taylor.
Taylor.
Oh, right.
Taylor.
Oh, okay, got you. You look a lot more full-blooded Caucasian in this particular shot. It looks like the name in my emails.
Yeah, that last name is.
Is what? It's
It's,
Greek.
I mean, you know.
You up there with that real pretty girl from the WNBA, the one whose dad was in the NBA with the funny spelling, Kaiser, whatever. That's another. The dude Gary Strusky on Sports Center.
Yes.
That's another.
Yep.
Good fake out.
Yep. Do you have more for us? I mean,
Man, I got to think. I know them when they come up, you know?
right. You know him when you see him, huh?
That's right.
You
That's
just
right.
saw
It's
it.
like,
You just saw it in Taylor, right?
yeah, did you know? I'd already gotten hip to that game, you know, but the first time, I admit.
Ty Jerome?
Ty Jerome is the new Khalil Green. Mm-hmm. Only the old heads know about Khalil Green.
The right time with Bomani Jones. He is a good friend. He is an excellent host, podcast host, radio host, and I want to talk to him about all that in just a second here. But we were talking right before you came on. We don't think there's anything you're bad at. Are you bad at anything? Seriously.
Apparently, I'm bad at knowing whether we were already going. That would be.
You think I'm going to leave? You think I'm going to cut that Taylor part out of this podcast?
No,
Get out of here.
No, I've been doing this long enough to know that that was all fair game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's stuff I'm not the greatest at. I could certainly say that. I guess people would point to the fact that, it's actually funny. I had an early portion of my career that was very much defined by all the times that I got fired. And then I was killing it there for a long time.
Right.
And then it kind of happened again, and people acted like the killing it part didn't happen. So perhaps, and I killed it on some of that other shit too. But perhaps that is where I am wrong. Where I don't know. There's something.
Right.
I'm trying my hardest to be modest, and I'm failing miserably.
Let me say it for you. You're bad at nothing, okay? I mean,
I appreciate that.
you got it.
In growing hair, maybe.
No, that's fair. I'm not so great at that. And Izzy, you create an interesting question that we all ask. Is it better to go fully gray at 32 but actually have the hair? Like, we are on opposite sides of the aging conundrum.
Yes. It's a great question. I would say, look, 32, I wasn't fully gray. I would say 42, I was probably fully gray.
Fair.
And given the amount of compliments that I get for my hair color now, 90% of the people that compliment me think I dye it this color, and they
Right.
say it looks great. So I got to say it's probably the gray thing. But if we're talking about making bald look good, like, you've got the good beard to go with it, a good face to go with it, which is important. And so, you don't need to worry about the bald look. It works for a lot of people.
Well, like, you look super young, right? Like, your skincare game is nuts. The only thing I would worry about, and this is like my world, I don't know so much how this goes in your world, but I feel like if I had the full-on gray, then these women would expect me to be tricking. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would look like a dude at an age where your game is to spend a whole lot of money on them. And I grew up listening to a wing of rap music that makes that somewhat impossible.
Well, fortunately, I'm already in a relationship, and so I don't really need to worry about that, but I totally get that.
You've given up.
Yeah, no, a long time ago. I'm definitely a relationship person. I'm not a single guy. I don't like it. Bo, I got a question for you, and it involves some of your other strengths that don't have to do with sports, because Lil Wayne is my GOAT, personally. I think I love him, and The Carter Six. I'd want to get your appraisal on it. To me, I don't like. There's just not that much. I love his lyrics. He's such a great lyricist. He can do it in his sleep. But there's not as much weight behind his words in this album. But I just want to get your assessment of it.
Yeah, like I didn't do this to myself because I feel like when I hear about a series or a franchise getting to part 6 or numbers that high, my immediate thought is Police Academy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And this does not, like, nothing about the fact that he couldn't come up with the name for the album indicated to me that he probably couldn't come up with other stuff. The thing that I think has happened to him is that as cold as he is, and he can be as cold as anybody else, he's never really had a point. Mm-hmm. And listen to somebody in their 40s that doesn't have a point, no matter how good they are. It's like, yo, man, we kind of need you to have a point here. Yeah. And he doesn't really have a point. And so he's somewhat subject to this, I'm young forever. Because he was 15 years old the first time I came across him. And it was in fact, he was younger than 15 the first time I came across him. No, it was 15. Yeah, it was 15. But it was mind-blowing. It was crazy how good he was. Like, he was rapping with grown men, not as a child, but as their equal as a rapper. And, you know, it's asking a lot for us to think somebody can keep this going for what is almost 30 straight years now.
It also doesn't help that it's coming off of Kendrick's explosion, which was very specific and had a very specific point, right?
Yes, it was. And, I mean, to me, Lil Wayne's best album came out 20 years ago, right? Like, we're asking for a lot in other genres. Like when the Rolling Stones are coming out with albums at a point analogous to where Wayne is, so like 30 years into it, we wasn't expecting it to be as good as their hottest heat, right? That is what we expect from rappers whenever they drop. And I feel like the rappers that have gotten into their 40s and 50s and are still putting out heat, it's because they rap and sound like they're in their 40s and 50s. And Lil Wayne, to me, at least in what I've seen, still sound like he could be riding one of them skateboards still. You remember when that was the thing?
He literally still is. He shows it all the time.
Bomani, you had a skateboard? Come on.
Hell no.
Nah.
Hell no.
Bomani Jones, The Right Time with Bomani Jones. Check it out wherever you get your podcast. We were discussing right before you came on fan bases and the fact that everyone's getting on the Florida Panthers fan base for jumping on the bandwagon and getting behind this team. And I say that all fan bases are bandwagon fan bases with the exception of very few. Maybe the Cubs, maybe the Cardinals, maybe a couple of NFL teams. But, Bomani, do you care? Like, why would you go to a concert if you know the concert's going to be bad? Why would you spend your money and your time to go see a team when you know said team is going to be bad? Do you care about that stuff?
You know, as a longtime Detroit Lions fan,
yes,
I've been a day one since 2021. You understand what I'm saying?
I got you.
I am well versed in this topic and the idea. It kind of depends on what the team is, right? Like when I first started doing Highly Questionable, Dan used to make the joke that at all times the Marlins were like 6 points out of the 8th seed. Like that was, I mean, not the Marlins, the Panthers. Like that was their.
He stole that joke from me, just so you know. Okay.
Okay, did not know that. So Stugotz would always say that at every turn. They're 6 point out from the 8th seed or something like that. And no, that's not really going to get it cracking for you. Like they had that year in '96 where they was throwing rodents on the ice and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you're right. Overall, with some notable exceptions. Now, Miami is a whole different situation because there's other stuff to do, and the teams, with the exception of the Dolphins, are like historically relatively new. But by and large, you got a core base, and then that spreads out depending upon how good the team is. Like I lived in Durham, North Carolina for 10 years, and I don't know how many people the arena there holds. I think they call it the Lenovo Center now. Let's just say it holds 17,000 people. They can sell out 17,000 people. If it's 17,001, they will not ever sell the place out. Like they got just enough seats for all the people that want to show up to that place. That's how it goes. When the Hurricanes are good, people get real charged up about it because it's fun. Yep. When they're bad, you only got two options. Be mad and scream at talk radio and do something else. I think doing something else is probably a healthier option.
You brought up talk radio, and I know you love talk radio. I love talk radio. We're old school. I miss doing radio, and I'm wondering, do you miss it at all, Bo?
I do miss it, and I actually think that like this kind of digital existence in a way kind of hurts you the longer that you do it. And the reason is, I was reading this book that made a point about the internet. All I've been reading lately is stuff about how terrible the internet is. But the point that the book makes is that the theory that more communication would bring us closer it's never been supported by actual evidence. In reality, if you think about people's neighborhoods, the studies have shown the longer that you live around somebody, the more likely you are to dislike them, because there's more and more likely that they're going to do something that becomes the thing you can't get over.
Yep.
It is way harder to get to a place where people will forgive you no matter what than it is for them to cut you off, right?
Yeah.
And so doing the jobs that we do, especially like in the face of social media and everything else, you talk more and more and more, and you're going to reach a point where you say something or you've evolved and changed in such ways that somebody is not going to like it. Now, it used to be that what people were inclined to do under those circumstances were perhaps send you an email, back in the day, the letter to the editor.
Yep.
But in radio, it was calls, and people would call up to the radio station, and maybe they want to get one off on you, right? Because they're upset with whatever it is that you've done. They get to say it, or there's some other person who serves as a proxy for them that gets to say whatever they're mad at. In response, you either get to take it, you get to act a fool about it, or you get to explain what it is, and it might bridge the gap between whatever happens. Where we all are now is the longer you do this and there's no feedback mechanism, the radio creates the possibility of the feedback mechanism. Doing it like we do it, or where you record it and you put it up, people are now more likely just to go bitch about it on their own little platform than engage the person. And the engagement is tough as the person now, because you get so much bullshit along the way that you can't even tell who a real person is.
Exactly.
So it used to be like a more human back and forth that you would have about it. And that was far more conducive, as you think about it, to building like a thriving community around it. And the coolest thing about radio to me, and why I enjoyed it over every other medium, is that the community that surrounds it was always so much more intimate and always like much closer. So yeah, I missed when I did daily radio. There were 5 or 6 people that I knew I would talk to every day.
Right.
They'd call in. They were happy to talk to me. I was happy to talk to them. We would hang out. You know what I mean? Like, think about in your life, you ain't got no 5 people that go call you every day that you want to talk to.
No.
And they can challenge you. They can make you think in a way that it's like, hey, maybe I didn't think about that, as opposed to just being in your own personal
And to Bo's point,
chamber.
they become family. They do. They become a part of your life.
I got my man Joe in Raleigh, and people who have followed me for a while know about Joe. I ain't talked to Joe in years. I've been trying to talk to Joe. I think Joe changed his number or whatever it is. It's kind of messed me up. Like, I just moved, and so I got this big thing where Joe lost a bet, and he had to come stand in front of the radio station holding a sign that said, "I lost a bet to Bomani Jones."
Oh, that's radio.
Still have that
classic.
Yes, I still have that sign, right? I've had it with me now for over 15 years. It's made it with me everywhere that I've gone, and I see that. I'm like, damn, I wonder what Joe's up to. You know, Joe was a talk radio caller. Like, you guys know about my man Mike, for example.
Yeah,
you know?
Bomani, I was just looking up Mike in my phone book. I still have his number. I mean,
yeah, dude, Mike. Like, I saw Mike. I did a talk in Chicago last year. Well, I was on a panel at the University of Chicago, and Mike pulled up for that. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't talked to Mike. I need to call Mike back because Mike hit me not that long ago because he wanted to talk about Stephen A. Smith. But, you know, like, you don't get that anywhere other than radio.
Bo, are these NBA finals and the interest level in them an indication that basically Kevin Durant was right, that people don't actually like basketball, or are we just not as familiar with these two teams yet?
I think that this is a paradigm shift, and I cannot think of an NBA finals where the top star that was in the finals had lower wattage than the current version of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if he's the MVP and they win this championship and he comes out and he starts killing it again next year, it's a building action, and I don't think you'll have the same issue with what we're talking about. But I do think that the league has historically been built around stars, and that's appropriate because what a star basketball player is means something completely different. But this is different. And now teams, in the way the CBA has gone, you're not going to necessarily have high wattage stardom at the top of the marquee in the way that you used to. And so I don't know exactly how the league like recovers on that, but I do think they've done everything they can to make every game feel not like a big deal. And I think it's in the small pieces. And I know a lot of people think that when it comes to the NBA that even people who like it are inclined toward complaints, but you clearly never talked to hockey or baseball fans, right? Like that is what they do. NFL fans are the only people that pledge fealty to the league in that way. But to me, for example, go into this, you can wear any color jersey at any time. It looks like an AAU tournament. The coaches, in the quarter zips because they went to the bubble and it didn't make any sense to dress up. And then you acted like the rest, like you acted like it was forever the bubble.
Right.
Like just because I'm working at home don't mean you're supposed to look like you at home. Again, it looks like an AAU tournament. So then when people start complaining, why is there not a trophy decal on the floor? It's not specifically about the trophy decal, but there's no NBA Finals decal on the floor. There's no long intro on the broadcast. There's no discussion of this as though it's an event larger than just watching a basketball game. And so I talk about this on the Wednesday episode of The Right Time, where I don't think that people get that you have to give them cues sometime. Mm-hmm. And if you act like it's not a big deal, they're not going to think it's a big deal. And to me, where we have a fundamental problem is you can't, sports is entertaining. It is not entertainment. That is a huge distinction and important, because if you look at what entertainment is in this day and age, it's just something to occupy your time, just something to stop you from changing the channel. This works because it's invigorating. This works because it hits you in your heart. Like this works because it's moving. And so trying to be like the things you compete with misunderstands the reason why you can compete in the first place. And so that is the biggest reason why I think that it feels the way it does, is because the league is telling us that this really isn't that big of a deal. And they need to lean. The NFL don't have that problem.
Right. It
the
seems
NFL
like they're leaning
acts like
too
it's
much
life and death
on the actual basketball now and forcing us to have to like it in order to watch, instead of giving us the pomp and circumstance.
But he's right about the NFL. They create an urgency that the NBA and no other sport really does.
No, well, the NBA used to be good at it. NBC used to be good at it, and they'll probably be good at it again. Bo, but I'm curious. You mentioned sort of the wattage on SGA rising if he continues to kill it past this year. You really think that's the case? Because I feel like a lot of people just aesthetically don't love his game, and so that if he keeps killing it, he'll become more of a villain, an anti-hero, than somebody that everybody embraces.
He's the best player we don't want.
Yeah, but Heat is still Heat.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
Like that'll give us some heat, because my thing is he too good to be acting like that, right? Like all that, man, you too good to be acting like that. And so I think that it may get to a place where people are resentful of this team. And what's going to happen with this team, which will be fun, is that I think basketball is best as a dynasty saga. And I feel like the CBA changes has made it more difficult to keep a team together. And so you're not going to have this year after year, these teams collide and it's the back and forth, right? That's going to go away in all likelihood. Oklahoma City is this good with 13 first-round picks in the next 6 years with a 23-year-old Chet Holmgren. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I want to say, is 26, 27, something like that. They're going to be good for a really long time, and you're not going to be able to ignore them if they go to the finals like 3 times in 4 years.
If SGA played in LA, Boston, New York, would we view him differently?
Yeah, because you kind of have no other choice. Because see, what happened to him in New York, Jalen Brunson's becoming an interesting example on this, because a lot of the criticisms of SGA and him out here acting like it's wrestling and flopping around like a fish, right? They go in the other direction. Once you become whatever you are for the Knicks, you now become the apple of a Knicks fan's eye. Right. And then Knicks fans talk about it, and then it becomes larger because it then becomes about your relationship with the Knicks fans who are closer to you, and then what kind of arguments you have there. And then it goes and it bounces and it's there. If Shai Gilgeous-Alexander played for the Clippers, it doesn't happen. If he plays for the Lakers, maybe it does, again, because it becomes about your proximity to those Lakers fans. If he plays for the Celtics, it becomes about your proximity to those people who are around you. With Oklahoma City, look, man, Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook became stars, big stars in Oklahoma City. So it's not, to me, just about the location. I just don't think this team, this I think is interesting. I'm thinking about this in real time, so forgive me if I'm rambling. There was a building action with the Durant, Harden, Westbrook Thunder, right? Like they got in 2010. They had a surprising run in 2011 where they made the conference finals, I want to say. Then they got to the NBA finals in 2012. Then they had kind of some of their hard luck along the way. Westbrook got hurt in 2013, conference finals 2014. Durant gets hurt in 2015, conference finals in 2016. But they had this long run and that year where they were fresh and they were on the rise. This particular Thunder team never had that because they were the 60-win team last year, 60-win team this year. And I want to say I don't even think they made the playoffs or something like that the year before. You know what I mean? Like, we have not had a chance to get to know them, but I think we will get to know them in short order.
But aesthetics and style of play are important. When Westbrook and Durant got to Oklahoma City, we've never seen anything like Kevin Durant, and we've never seen anything like Russell Westbrook. We've seen SGA. Like, those guys were unique talents, and I'm not saying he's not, but they were more aesthetically pleasing. There was something that we've never seen before, Bomani.
They are more exciting. Like, SGA can get to his spots. Like, he is in a way, almost like a slender Kawhi Leonard on offense.
Yeah.
Right? Like, incredibly effective. It can get to the shots he wants, but not necessarily like the most fun to watch. But I ask you, how many guys in the NBA are individually that much fun to watch? Like, all these kids growing up with trainers has kind of taken that away, where how many of them are really like, man, I just love watching this game. Like, the example I used on my show was Rod Strickland. Rod Strickland's not a Hall of Famer, but you remember what Rod Strickland.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
you love watching Rod Strickland play. It was just, it just had that looseness to it. Kyrie is like the last Mohican in that regard.
I think John Morant,
his godfather.
I think John Morant would be a guy for me. No,
that is a great
Anthony
example.
Edwards.
Yeah.
Yes, Anthony Edwards a little less, I think, but you're right. John Morant, because John Morant's got like the last playground game.
Right.
It feels like that's left.
I don't think SGA gets enough credit for when he does drop guys, because it ends up just being a mid-range jumper as opposed to, a deep three.
Go
or
throw
a
it
dunk.
down. Yeah. I mean,
I don't think people realize what, by the advanced numbers and everything else, the season that he just put up was unreal. Like, we talk about Jokic.
Real quick. I just want to throw this in there because people are giving me shit for taking this year's SGA over 06 Dwayne Wade, and it's mind-boggling. One was an MVP.
Well, sometimes you have to read the room. No, where you are. I think it's an interesting comp, though, because, like, regular season, it's the SGA. It's not even close, right? Like that was an all-time great regular season that he put up. The thing with Wade in the postseason was he forced the issue in his game. It was so visceral in watching it. And you could say the refs gave him all the calls, but he made the refs give them the calls. It felt like there was nothing you can do. There's something about Shai that doesn't feel like there's nothing you can do. But clearly there's nothing you can do because can't nobody do nothing.
Exactly.
Bomani, are you laughing at the New York Knicks? I'm sure you are.
Okay, so it's
crazy.
a long story, but because it's some tech stuff, we have to record our Wednesday episodes at the right time on Tuesday.
All right.
And I did this long thing about, I still think the Jason Kidd thing has legs, but about how that's going to be a thing.
Right.
And then this morning, Shams gets on the internet and tells people that the Mavs told Jason Kidd no. And I wish he'd have done that yesterday. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, it's hard for me to laugh at the Knicks when they out here messing with my show. I like that. I can't ignore that part, but I do. What happened seemed very clear, regardless of whether or not you think this is what should have happened. Jim Dolan came downstairs and fired the coach. They were not ready to hire another coach, but he fired the coach. Now, maybe he thought that they could get Jason Kidd, which, by the way, I think was a reasonable hypothesis. But if they don't get Jason Kidd, I have no idea what they're going to do, because what will happen if they can't get Jason Kidd is they will, without question, hire a worse coach than the one they just fired. And I would not take that job because it's going to be no fun coaching that team next year. The people expect something now, right? The people here think this team is supposed to be good.
Yes. They expect someone
and they got
better.
Some fundamental flaws.
Yes, they expect someone better. They expect a bigger name and a better coach than Tom Thibodeau. They ain't going to find one.
Bo, the only way I can see that actually working out is a similar situation to something in Golden State, where you find a coach in Steve Kerr who comes in, sort of attaches himself to the star. In this case, it would be Jalen Brunson. Builds an offense that really, really highlights that star, along with making sure that it can win in the playoffs. And having that attachment to Brunson really being the key there, because obviously Jalen Brunson is the fabric of the Knicks.
Well, they already have a coach that is very attached to Jalen
There you
Brunson.
go. So if they don't find their initial options, do they then
be
go
more
to Rick?
attached than Dad?
Can they go to Rick there and say, hey?
I've yet to see one report to indicate how everybody loves having Jalen Brunson's daddy around.
Right.
You are not going to convince me that people are happy about that. It's impossible. It is preposterous, the idea that he has that job and is there under those circumstances. The real issue is Jalen Brunson and Karl Towns, I do not think can play together because you can't have two traffic cones, and they're both cones, and you're going to probably need to move one of them, which means you have to move Towns. But Towns is one of those weird players where Minnesota just went through this, and even though it worked out okay, you're not going to get a better player back for him.
Right.
Now, maybe you make this move and get Kevin Durant, and I think you would effectively get a better player than him. But you're not going to get a better player than Towns. I also don't think you can really win with him. Like, I felt like the Timberwolves and the Knicks trading Randall for Towns traded two guys that each side decided you can't really win with.
Right. It's fair.
You'd have a much better shot at Kevin Durant if you kept Tom Thibodeau, though. He's not going to go to some unstable organization now.
I mean, it's not like he's above it. He's in this unstable organization. He went to another unstable organization where he went with the unstabilizer himself as his road dog.
Well,
he may just like chaos.
Maybe.
He left the two best organizations in the NBA. I mean,
yes,
that's true.
Hey, man, some people like him crazy. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is.
Bo, the recent ruling with the NCAA and schools being able to start paying their athletes directly now. How is college sports going to change because of this?
Let's be honest here. It's going to be a little less charming.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Nobody likes a 19-year-old with a pocket full of money. You can't find the example of where that makes anybody feel good. It's not that. To me, the big change already happened. And the big change was once you got rid of the waiting period before you could transfer, where now it became just, free agency, but with no safeguards whatsoever. That part has already happened. So, like, giving the guys the money, we'll see. I don't know how much that part is really going to affect it. But the hard part for me is I don't ever know who played for anybody at a given point in time. And I do think that losing that continuity matters, especially as time has gone on and the coaches have become less interesting and less important. You know what I mean? So, like, when we had big personality coaches, I knew what I was tuning in to watch. I don't really know that so much anymore.
No, it's fair. Players are the transfer portal is the worst thing that happened to college sports. So, the right time with Bomani Jones. Check it out wherever you get your podcast. I know you got to run here, Bo. We appreciate the time as always. I owe you a visit on your podcast anytime, my friend.
Hey, man, and brother, you're doing a good job here, man. Like, I was like, this is a whole professional operation that you got going. You got a background with rotating photographs and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Professional over here.
And people are surprised, Bomani. I respond to them. Do you know who the fuck I am?
That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? You got a nice Neapolitan ice cream set up with the talent today. You feel me? Wow. Like,
yeah, thank you, Bomani. I appreciate it.
I see the vision, big dog. I see it. I appreciate you inviting me on.
Yeah, except for Taylor.
I've been rattled since that comment.
I feel great.
All right, the right time with Bomani Jones. Check it out. He is the best. We'll talk to you soon, my friend. Thank you, buddy.
All right, brother. Be good.
All right, man.